Good evening, this is Kavipriya. I am going to discuss about the topic assessment of working of parliamentary system in India. In the parliamentary system of government, the executive is responsible to the legislature for its policies and acts. This system of government is also known as cabinet government or responsible government, or we call it as a Westminster model of government. Examples of this are Britain, Japan, Canada and India have a parliamentary form of government. So what is this nominal and the real executives? The president is a nominal executive while the prime minister is a real executive. It means that the president is the head of the state and prime minister is the head of the government. What is the majority party rule? The political party which secures majority seats in the Lok Sabha forms a government and leader of the party is appointed as the prime minister by the president. Other ministers are appointed by the president on the advice of the prime minister. What is this collective responsibility? The ministers are collectively responsible to the parliament in general and to the Lok Sabha in particular. Next is the features of a parliamentary system. They act as a team and swim and sing together. It implies that Lok Sabha can remove the ministry, Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister from the office by passing a no confidence vote. So, the political homogeneity is one. Usually the ministers belong to same political party and they share the same political ideology. Whereas in case of double memberships, the ministers are members of both legislature and the executive. The constitution stipulates that a minister who is not a member of parliament for 6 consecutive months ceases to be the minister. And next is a dissolution of lower house. The president on recommendation of prime minister can dissolve the lower house of the parliament before the expiry of its term and hold fresh elections. Dissolution of a lower house. The president on the recommendation of prime minister can dissolve the lower house of the parliament, Lok Sabha, before the expiry of its term and hold fresh elections. This means that executive enjoys the right to get the legislative dissolved in the parliamentary system. The ministers operate on the principle of secrecy of procedure and cannot disclose the information about their proceedings, policies and decisions. And next is merits and demerits of the parliamentary systems. First, we can see what are all the merits of the parliamentary system. First one is harmony between the legislator and the executive. It establishes a harmonious relationship and cooperation between the legislative and the executive organs of the government. The executive is very much part of the legislator, which reduces the scope for disputes and conflicts between the two organs. And the responsible government. Parliamentary system establishes a responsible government in which ministers are responsible to the parliament for all the acts or omissions and commission. The parliament exercises a control over them through various devices like question hour, adjournment motion, discussion, no confidence motion, etc. And next is a prevents despotism. Under the parliamentary system, the executive power is vested in the group of individual, that is Council of Ministers. The dispersion of powers checks the dictatorial tendency of the executive. And next is a ready alternative government. If the ruling party loses the majority, the head of the state has the authority to invite the opposition party to assume the government formation. Wide representation. In this system, executive consists of ministers who are representative of people, and the system provides a representation to all sections and regions in the government. Next is the demerits of a parliamentary system. Unstable government. The parliamentary system does not ensure a stable government. The continuity and survival of ministers depend on the mercy or the majority legislators. A no confidence motion or political deduction or evils of multiparty coalitions can make the government unstable. Example, the government headed by Morarji Desai, VP Singh, Chandrasekhar, Devagowda, Charan Singh and I.K. Gujral. And no continuity of the policies. The system is not conducive to the formation and implementation of long-term policy due to the uncertainty of a tenure of the government. Example, in the year 1977, the Janata government headed by Morarji Desai reserved a large number of policies of the previous Congress government. And next is and he is one who reversed all the number of policies which has been established by the previous Congress government. And next is the dictatorship of the cabinet. The cabinet becomes autocratic when the ruling party enjoys the absolute majority in the parliament. And next is against a separation of powers. In this system, legislature and the executive are together and inseparable. The cabinet act as a leader of the legislature. It act as well as the executive. Therefore, the whole system of government goes against the letter and spirit of the theory of the separation of powers. And next is the government by amateur. Prime Minister has a limited choice, and his choice is restricted to the members of parliament alone and does not extend to the external talent. Moreover, the ministers spend most of their time in the parliamentary work, cabinet meetings, and party activities. So, what is the reason for adopting the parliamentary system? The founder fathers of Indian constitution prefer the parliamentary system due to the variety of reasons. First thing is the familiarity with the system. The constitution makers were familiar with the parliamentary system as it had been in operation in India during the British rule. K.M. Munishi, for the last 30 or 40 years, some kind of responsibility has been reduced in the governance of this country. Our constitutional traditions have become parliamentary. After this experience, why should we go back and buy a novel experience? This is what stated by him. Dr. Ambedkar pointed out in the Constitution Assembly that a democratic executive must satisfy two conditions. One is a stability and another one is a responsibility. And also, avoidance of legislative executive conflicts. The constitution makers wanted to avoid the conflicts between the legislative and executive which are bound to occur in the presidential system. And next is a representation. India is one of the most complex plural societies in the world. Hence, a parliamentary system was adopted which represented various sections, interests, and regions in the government. The parliamentary system is a better representative system and it involves elections in the country by dividing into many small constituencies. So that's all about the parliamentary system in India, and we have discussed about what is the features of a parliamentary system, and we have seen what are all the merits and demerits of a parliamentary system, and we have seen what is the reason behind adopting a parliamentary system in India. Thank you.